Okay, this is Kevin, and we've got video number 1 on communication and consciousness. What is the relation between communication and consciousness? This is one of the really big things that come out of the 20th century in terms of scholarship. In the 20th century, we became much more aware that scholarship was something we were doing actively, so we were an active participant in the work. This same thing has been found out in quantum mechanics, for example, right? The way you look at something affects what you see. Same thing going on here, but we're not talking about quantum mechanics. So if we look at somebody like Edmund Husserl around 1900, his work showed a direct relationship between consciousness and communication. And what we're looking at is the way that we perceive the world is built upon expressions of that world. And the most poignant expressions usually come from art, but in mass media, we make sure we don't look at art as high and mass media as low. We spread them out on a plane and give them equal credit, but we do want to note that art tends to discover the new. Mass media tends to regurgitate the known, and maybe too much, but that's criticism that we'll have to get into later. So what we're saying is, what I'm saying is that communication, right, the act of making something for somebody else, this is expression. And my expression comes from a lot of things I don't think about, primarily language. You can't express your perception of the world without using a language. And languages are not identical. Languages, most of us know, look at the world in different ways. Now, when we look at just Western civilization, we can look at hundreds of languages that are very, very similar. But if we go to something like Hopi, Indian, or something, we'll find that language is radically different. For example, time, and in our culture, we perceive time as linear, moving from a past, present to future. But what Husserl notes for our interest in communication is that our awareness of the past and our awareness of the future is always in the present. So when we're interpreting something that was made a long time ago, we have to be very, very careful. And when we project into the future, likewise, we have to be careful. We have to be aware that we're always in this now time. In Hopi, their time system is reported as, I don't know the validity. I'll have to check that. But in Hopi, we see a twofold time structure, right? You live in a world that is either manifest or unmanifest. So manifest means that you are alive, you are being in the world, you are a person, and so on. Unmanifest means you have yet to be born, or you are an ancestral spirit. Now, that's a completely different way of looking at time, but if you think about it, it's equally valid. So the way that Hopi or English communicates, or let's say expresses time, is a perception of time. Thus, our awareness is what counts, and that communication, that intermingling, very complex intermingling, but fun. Mass. I shouldn't use the word mass. That intermingling of expression and perception constitutes for us communication. Thank you.